everybody, it's Gemma here from madebygemmacrafts.co.uk. Thank you for joining me again today. Today's card is this one here. Now I've made this card for the Crafty Cupcakes Team Challenge. Every month we have a creative challenge with different criteria. This month's challenge was a tic-tac-toe board. So it's a bit like a noughts and crosses board, and we have 9 different colours on there, and we pick a line, straight, diagonal, etc., and we have to make a card using those colours. So the 3 colours that I chose from the board were Melon Mambo, Emerald Envy and Chocolate Chip. So what I've done is I've used the Joseph Coat technique to make this card. So I thought I'd just share with you all how I made it. Get nice and messy and inky on this one, so this is good fun. So to start with, I'll just bring in the bits and bobs that we need. So I have got a piece of Whisper White that we're going to be stamping on and heat embossing as well. And then I've just got my card base, which is Melon Mambo, and a piece of Emerald Envy just to back our Whisper White stamped piece onto. Now the stamp set I've used for this is the So Very Much, and this is in the Celebration catalogue. This is a great stamp. So don't forget, Celebration is still going until the 31st of March, and we've just, Stampin' Up have just released 3 new products as well, 2 new stamp sets and some absolutely gorgeous glimmer paper as well. So that's the stamp set we're going to be using. And then I've got my ink. So I've got some Versamark, and then I've got my 2 colours of ink there. And although in the challenge I used Chocolate Chip, today I'm going to use some Early Espresso. So it's just a bit darker, and it helps cover the brighter colours because you can kind of see them coming through a bit. So I thought today I would show you with something a bit darker. So what we're going to do first is we are going to stamp on our piece of Whisper White here. Now I've got some little sponges here that I use. So we're just going to dab in to the ink, get that nice inked up, and then we're just going to randomly ink up our piece of Whisper White here. Just put a few splodges all over. A bit more down here. Maybe a bit more there, like so. I'm going to change, and I'm going to pop some Emerald Envy on now. I'm just going to ink that up. I'm just going to fill in the gaps. Can overlap a little bit, it's up to you. Just have some fun and be creative with your colour mixing. Just going to pop this on. There we go, make sure it's all nicely covered, like so. And that's our first layer of ink. Pop that off. Right, let's close these up. Now we're going to do some stamping. So we're going to use our Versamark ink and some clear embossing powder now as well. So if I just grab my stamp out. Pop it on my block. So what we're going to do is we're going to stamp on our sentiment, which is thank you, and then we're going to put some clear embossing powder on and heat it and to emboss. There we go. So with these bigger stamps, it's always a good idea to take your ink pad to the stamp rather than around the other way. As you can see, this doesn't want to stay on my block today, so let's just pop that over. So if you ever have this problem with getting your bigger stamps to stay on your block, what I do is I've got a two-way glue pen and I just put little dabs on and just use my finger to spread it out a little bit. Now if you give it a couple of seconds, give it a little wave, wait for it to go clear, you can then pop that onto your block and it's not going to come off again. And because it's a two-way glue pen, so if you let that dry to clear, it means that you can reposition it again, so it should peel straight off of your stamp block quite easily. So there we go, we're firmly stuck on now. So as I said, take your ink pad to your stamp, make sure it's well covered, like so, and then just pop your stamp on where you'd like it to go. Give it a good push down. There we go. So I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this on camera, but you can see it in person. You can see where you've stamped your sentiment to make sure you've got it all. And then you're just going to use some clear embossing powder. Just give it a sprinkle on, like so. I think I need to get a bigger tub. Like so. Give it a little tap, and there we go, it's on and covered, like so. Just pull that down here, get rid of that. Right, so now we can heat set this. So just to warn you, I'm going to put my heat gun on now, so if you're watching with loud volume you might want to turn it down a touch. So I've turned on my heat gun, and I'm just going to let it warm up before I take it to my paper. There we go. So now I'm just going to go over my image and set the embossing powder. You can just about see that dark changing and melting. And that's all done. So there we go, we have our piece of cardstock that we've inked, and now we've clear heat embossed our sentiment on top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use our darker colour and we're going to cover the whole thing in ink. This is the very messy part. Now if you've got one of the sponge rollers from Stampin' Up, this is ideal for this, but I don't have one and I still want to have a go at this technique, so I've sort of made it work for what I've got. So once that's cooled down, there we go, like it has, just get rid of some of that embossing powder, there we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up my ink pad, and I'm going to take my ink pad and I'm going to go straight on to my piece of paper. So I'm just going to give it a good ink up, get it covered. Now you will see all these lines and stuff on here, but if I give this a really good press and a good cover, you will get very messy fingers doing this, but it's part of the fun. Keep going, give it a good smush, get it well covered. Like another sponge here. Get that a good sponge. You can start rubbing it into your paper, like so. Just press it down, get it nice and covered. Any little lines that you get from your ink pad should disappear the more layers that you build up. So I'm just going around, giving it a good cover. And this is, as you can see, I'm getting very messy fingers. There we go, I've got my paper here so I can just hold it still while I'm going around covering up. Go in with my sponge again, work some more of it in, like so. Just on the little bits where it hasn't taken all of the colour. I think I may have had a bit of embossing powder left on there that I didn't brush off, so that's why it won't cover it completely. But obviously you can take a lot more time and care when you're making your card. Then we're just going to grab a piece of kitchen roll and we're going to go over our sentiment. I'm going to give it a good rub, and out pops our words, and the ink underneath is coming through the clear embossed parts, like so. So as you can see, I still had some clear embossing powder on there, but that actually looks like a pretty cool effect. Never a right or wrong way. Little mistakes become little miracles. So there we go. That's our panel done. So all we need to do now is put the rest of our card together. Just wipe my fingers. There we go. So we don't cover everything. There we go. So if we bring in our piece of card that we're going to mount this to. Now ordinarily I do use wet glue, but as you can see where we've heat embossed this, it's a little bit warped and distorted, and so I'm just going to use some double-sided tape to fix this panel down. So we just want to go around all four of the edges, like so. I mean, using the wet glue, it's going to dry a bit warped as well. So, as I said, I find double-sided tape better to use when you've put a lot of ink onto your cardstock. So I'm just going to lift up my four corners on this to help position it. And apologies if you can hear my little one in the background. He's not at preschool today. He doesn't go in on a Friday. There we go. Right, there we go. Sorry about that. It's been dispatched with some more Paw Patrol. Right, so where were we? We were going to now put this onto our piece of Emerald Envy. So as you can see, I've put tape on all four sides, and I've just peeled back the corners on each piece, just so I can help position it before I stick it down. So you can use your corners like so, just to get it on straight as I can from this angle. Then you can just pull your tape away once it's all in the right place, like so. that bit. Then I've got a card blank made with some melon mambo. I've already popped my tape on the back of this one. So now we can just repeat the same process to pop it on. There we go, yep. There we go, we can just remove these again. Oh. And there we go, we have our finished card, like so. So all the measurements for the pieces of card I've used will be on my blog, as always, and I'll put a link to that in the description box below. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you. Bye bye.